Yo, get up, nah, I ain't a quitter. Toss me the ball, I'm a really big hitter. Big picture, I'm a straight killer. Rising the song to the highest bidder. Got juice, got gas, I'ma move fast. New shoes, new tracks, like who's that? I'm new, come back, better than last. Yeah, it's a new me, never gonna look back. Never gonna look back. Cause damn, I was built to last. You move slow and I move fast. And that's facts.
Well, hello. What's up, everybody? Welcome back, Bears Nations. You're turning into Tracks on Bears, the ultimate destination for everything Chicago Bears, brought to you by Chicago Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Brandon Tracks Hiatt, and I'm also here with Brandon from 4 Stars and Dustin Jones, DJ from 4 Stars. What up, fellas? How you guys doing?
What's going on, Trex? How you feeling?
Good, man. You guys had a fantastic show, man. It was a good one. Can you tell everybody where you were at right before you started this show?
Where we're at? I mean, 4 Stars on Facebook, 4 Stars Sports, Chicago Sports on Twitter, YouTube channel, 4 Stars Chicago Sports. Hit us up, like, subscribe. We have a great relationship with Chicago Sports Podcast, and you'll find us here as well.
That was on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday now, right? Or Thursday?
Mondays, Wednesdays, Thursdays. We did a show last night with the Luka Doncic news coming out. You know, had to get something out there for that. So,
Yeah, go check out that banger, guys. It'll set your hair on fire. It was a freaking wild one. Everybody was freaking going bananas for that one. It was crazy. The news was just unbelievable, man.
Out of nowhere. Just
70-something times that has occurred. And a guy that's that young, I mean, honestly, a trade would be like Pat Mahomes for Justin Fields or something like that. I mean, it's ridiculous, you know?
Yeah.
Or Caleb, we can exchange them. It's cool. Don't freaking cancel us. But anyways, guys, welcome back to this ultimate destination for everything Chicago Bears, brought to you by Chicago Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Brandon Tracks Hiatt, my co-host, Brandon Duplessis, and then Dustin Jones. So let's just dive right into it, guys. We're diving deep into the 2025 draft buzz with an explosive breakdown of the Senior Bowl, man. The Senior Bowl never, ever fails. I got some very special pictures sent by our co-host, your guys' co-host, Jim Miller. I mean, dude, that guy's living the dream. He just got back from Philadelphia for the freaking NFC Championship. He watched all the confetti come down, on that quarterback, but actually identifies as a running back better. And then he goes over to the Senior Bowl in Mobile, Alabama. Now he's in New Orleans, and I asked him, has he even seen the freaking the bowl yet, or is he still partying on Bourbon Street? And he goes, you mean there's a Super Bowl here? So I think he's got like beads on, and he's doing all kinds of fun stuff,
Some of those nice big liquor slushies, those lime green ones. those are awesome. Love Bourbon Street, dude. I
wouldn't count anything out at this point, man. CHGO's over there with, all those guys, man. And everybody's just checking it out. Radio, oh my goodness. I could only imagine what it's like. I mean, to be a fly on the wall, guys. So, but like I said, the Senior Bowl, it never fails to excite us. We're talking winners, losers, and the sneaky sleepers that could change the game. And there's a lot. I mean, there's a lot to unpack there because the force momentum is built up from that point all the way and escalates all the way to draft day. It's about being in your spot. We always talk about this all the time in our shows about attitude and attendance. If you're there, things are going to happen. If you're not, things are going to pass right by, and things are going to happen without you. And right now, there's some guys that are really making a name for themselves, because you guys know this as well, because I know you guys are draft junkies. Here's the deal. There's guys right now that are in small-time colleges, and they're like, what? Who's this guy? And the reason why is because they are outshowing guys at big-time colleges, and this might be the only opportunity that they have to showcase their potential and abilities. And you're like, oh, my God. Is that guy that I don't know about freaking it's crazy. It's fun. It's so electrifying. And so strap in, guys, because this is going to be a wild ride. So let's kick this off by first welcome everybody to the chat. Everybody, thank you guys so much for showing up and showing out. Hit that like and subscribe button. We appreciate your view. Make sure you guys give it the triple trifecta and turn the notifications on to all, because your boy Tracks is going to be giving you, that's right, a jersey of your choice, whatever you want, even if it's a Green Bay one. I can't guarantee you it's going to come in a healthy
one
package,
piece.
but it's going to come to your doorstep. So be ready for that, So no, seriously, guys, whatever you guys want, I'll send it to you guys once we get to that 3,000 mark and beyond, 4,000, 5,000. I mean, we're going to be sending balls with autographs on it. You name it, man. You guys are going to be walking down. They're going to be like, you guys are looking pretty fly for a white guy. You guys are from Chicago Podcasts, dude. You guys are freaking representing, dude. You guys are looking what? So let's like I said, let's kick this off, guys, with the stars who shone brighter than Soldier Field on a Sunday night. Shemar Stewart. Oh my. I mean, talk about a dude, this edge from Texas A&M. I think he's like 6'4", 6'6", somewhere around there, about 285. I mean, dude, if you want to talk about somebody that's handcrafted in the name, image, and likeness, or not the name, but the image and the likeness of the edge from Jordan from New Orleans Saints for Dennis Allen, this is that guy, right, dude? I mean, he was like living in a whirlwind, man, leaving quarterback scrambling for safety. It was crazy, guys. What do you guys think of Shemar Stewart? Have you guys got an opportunity to look at him?
I mean, I've just seen what's been coming out of the Senior Bowl, to be quite honest. And I mean, he had a solid performance, and he really performed well. All the defensive ends really performed well in that game. I mean, I'm not seeing, where's his draft position as of right now in terms of the potential for the Bears to end up with this guy? Do you know?
So it depends on where you look at him as far as edge. Okay, so obviously you're looking at probably second or third. So potentially we very well could get him. And I honestly think, depending on what you prefer, they might actually just flat out go after him. You know what I'm trying to say in terms of his fit. And I mean, I do really feel like this guy fits the bill of what do you call it, Dennis Allen. What are your thoughts about him, Brandon? What do you think, bud?
Yeah, his quality, the same as Dustin, man. Just from the Senior Bowl is really what I saw. I didn't get to see much during the regular season, but I mean, he's a player that's crawling up the boards, and that's prior to the combine, and that's important, man. I don't like touching the guys that fly up the boards after their measurables are on paper. He's just playing good football, and he's playing against the best.
Matt Miller mocked him number 17 today in his most recent mock draft, 17 to the Bengals. So I mean, that's a lot. That he's moving up pretty high after his Senior Bowl performance.
Does that smell of a trade?
Trade back?
No. Trade for Hendrickson, or does Hendrickson, he leaves in the free agency?
He needs some help. He needs some help. Hendrickson is the only pressure that gets applied from that Bengals team. So I think that's why Matt Miller would mock Shemar Stewart to the Bengals in that spot.
No. And I agree, but I also believe that a lot of people are targeting him to hit the free agency. Yeah. And so maybe that would be his potential replacement, if you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Who knows?
So how do you feel about that, Brandon? Do you think that they're going to secure him? Or I know they're in like cap hell right now because, they're trying to do a lot with a little with Higgins. He said he's going to give him a discount because he wants to stay and be a Bengal, but there's only so much of a discount a guy's going to give you, right, Brandon?
Yeah, and we don't often see, it's very rare. It's happened, but we don't often see a long-term deal following a franchise tag season. Usually the franchise tag is a way to hold on to a player for another year. I don't think he's going to get the deal he's looking for. I think he's going to continue to want out, and that's what he's wanted for the last 2 years.
He's definitely not going to get a deal from the Bengals. The Bengals are cheap as hell.
Well, and I will tell you what, if you double tag him, now it goes up to 25%. So I mean, you look at that too.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty rough. But short-term deal, I don't know. See what he does middle of the season. If he's still showing up and showing out, try to extend him long-term. Or maybe you can get a little, because if they let him drop right now, right, he just goes right into free agency. Do they get a compensation pick for that or no?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't even know that rule. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm a stooge with that rule. I'm just like, we get the compensation pick. Great. Let's move on. We got it. I haven't really investigated it.
Listen, I think that Trey Henderson, the Bengals are going to do what they can to keep him. And if they add a Shemar Stewart with him, then their defense actually can provide a pressure on the opposing quarterback, which would impact them greatly. It would have impacted them greatly in this past season if they had another pass rusher to help Hendrickson out, to be quiet. I think if you're drafting that guy that high, it's to put him on the other side of Hendrickson and actually start competing on the defensive side of the football, which the Bengals did not do at all.
And I'm kind of in agreement with you because correct me if I'm wrong, Brandon. I mean, face the facts. Like if you let a guy walk out of the building, your defense doesn't get better.
No, and it's really how much do you value him? And this was a really, really good season for Trey Hendrickson. So when you get that franchise tag, man, I mean, it's a prove it thing. Like, right, every 1 year deal, even the bargain players, the 1 year deals, it's prove it. Guy had 17.5 sacks. He proved it. So I don't know what more the Bengals need to see, but if they weren't willing to pay him prior, I'm not sure he's not going to get a contract there.
Yeah, and it's almost like something like a bridge, like, okay, we're going to let it go for a little bit, right? And then we're going to work it out to where, okay, now since you're getting paid, the extended out, we're going to come back and try to regroup or recoup that money and push it out and stretch it out. So it's all just one big contract, but we just had to get things ironed out and move some stuff. We didn't really, apply ourselves is the way I look at it, kind of like, because really they got freaking all this time to get them bean counters to get it figured out. Because the last thing you want to do is let a guy hit the streets and not get nothing for him, and then make your 100%. Freaking part of the position that you're struggling in worse. Like, What did you just do? You're just like circling the problem like Ford does and saying, hey guys, I'm incompetent here,
And you're losing leverage.
Yeah, you're losing leverage. Absolutely, because everybody sees that you don't know how to run business, conduct business.
And every team now knows that this guy's probably going to hit the market.
Anything
for him.
Yeah. So lack of trust. Why go to Cincinnati? Walter Nolan from Ole Miss, guys. Oh my, talk about it, dude. This dude is a tank of a defensive tackle. That was a guy that Jim Miller was telling me he was really impressed with that in Deion Walker. He said that dude is a freaking mountain of a man. Now he got pushed around at senior day, and he said he'll adjust, and that's no reason to get rid of him or not get rid of him, but move him off your radar. He should still be there. You know what I mean? So big guy disrupting plays like it's a day job. You know what I mean? Like he was just.
The Bears need that desperately for sure. So I mean, the one thing I want to point out is like the Bears fans talk about the Senior Bowl like it's like this place where draft prospects go to die. Maybe that's for the Chicago Bears, but if you look at the Senior Bowl players that played last year, a lot of them impacted teams very much this season, played very well for their teams.
Yeah, I think it's like 46 guys. And then when you look at the Shrine Bowl, they're not bashful either. There was actually a higher uptick than uptick in years past. But the Shrine Bowl actually does pretty good. But yet this, like to your point, Dustin, they still dominate for sure. And that's why Mobile, Alabama is the way to go, baby.
Good players come out of there every year, and Walter Nolan looks like he's going to be one of them. And that would impact the Bears greatly to have a disrupting defensive tackle.
And you got to be invited too. And might I add, even though it's called the Senior Bowl, there is a select amount of juniors that were invited also.
Yeah.
So that's redunculous. That's crazy. Like, why call it senior? Call it senior / I guess it'd look weird,
Yeah.
But it's the outlier. And let's not overlook Donovan. I can't even say his last name, so we'll just call him Donovan E. from Boston College. He was a force to be reckoned with, showing why he's one of the best of the class. But real talk, guys, Jack Bech from TCU. Oh, my.
This is the guy I wanted to talk about because when you opened up the show, Tracks, you were talking about showing up when that opportunity is there.
Yeah.
This guy's brother died like right before he went to the Senior Bowl. He showed up, showed out at practice, and caught the game-winning touchdown in the game. What a fucking story that is. He's the guy you're talking about when you say what you said.
Final touchdown pass from QB Seth Hennigan. Bech clinched MVP honors, proving he's not just a player but a game changer. Like I said, Bears fans, imagine that talent in our colors, man. That would be freaking fantastic. And he won our hearts over even more, like showing up like that with the death of his. Oh my God, that's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, and he would fit into a slot role with the Bears, which is really what they need. I mean, he's a bigger dude actually, and he's got like solid speed. He can work the inside of the field. That could be a good fit for the Bears too, potentially. I mean, I'm not super high on the guy, but it's a great story.
He ain't no Tyler Scott with 19 targets in like freaking 2-3 years or whatever the hell he's been. I forgot, dude. I just know he's a guy that's on our roster and nobody complains about. Listen, if anybody worked and didn't deserve a spot on our team, it's Velus Jones. But at least he was on the damn field. Come on, Tyler Scott. Show up, buddy.
That's a combination of Tyler Scott and the Bears staff not giving him the opportunities too, I would say. But is he not getting the opportunities because he's not performing in practice? You know, he's not showing up when they need him to make that that impact and show them that he should be on the field. You know.
Well, and you look around and you got to look, read the room, and we all fit this bill. Never trust a guy with two first names. I've never trusted Tyler Scott since he's been in the building. And so far, he's proven me right. So, I mean, that was my first take. And then the 19 freaking targets, like there's got to be something there. I know we didn't do a good job of passing the ball around and scheming and all this and that. But there's got to be something there. You don't just, you know what I'm trying to say? Like,
yeah, I mean, he's a 5th round pick. You would hope he could turn into something and be some kind of contributor to your team. It has not worked out, which is why the Bears should be looking for another receiver this year with the potential that Keenan Allen goes and Tyler Scott has not stepped up. So you need someone to fill in that third receiver role. That needs to happen.
Now, this dude, Darius Alexander from Toledo. Holy Toledo, dude. And this other guy, Savion Blanc Jones or whatever from LSU. and Olufemili Oladajo from UCLA. These guys, dude, I hope that they take it easy on the jersey makers because I'm going to tell you, like, seriously, dude, just go OULU, Olu, and then OLA, Ola. Olu, Ola. That's it, dude. Keep it simple. You know, I'll buy your jersey if you keep it simple on me, and you got to be good, you know. But these guys, dude, these edge rushers were not playing around, man. They really, if anything, they climbed up those boards and they really made a difference too. And they're going up against, like you said, Dustin, some of the best in the nation that are all invited to that one spot. Out of all 50 states, you're brought here to Mobile, Alabama, and everybody knows the weight of this, dude. Everybody knows the weight of this for sure. It's big.
D-line dominated the offensive line in that game. They really did.
Day 2 and day 3. Yeah, day 1.
In the game itself, too. In the game itself, the D-line dominated.
Oh, in the game. Yeah. I see what you're saying. Yeah, for sure. I get messed up on those broadcasts, dude, because like, so Jim Miller and Pat Kerwin, you know, and they were with Jeff Joniak too. They were all, you know, taking turns. Cool. I guess remotely, Pat had to do his remote because he wasn't down there with Jim Miller and Joniak, right down in Mobile.
He had COVID.
He was just, whatever this flu. Yeah.
Oh, shit. That sucks. If he was actually sick, I was just making a stupid joke.
So, he just said he was sick, but he sounded good. He sounded better than Jim because Joniak was like, oh, you still got that cough, huh, Jim? Like it was bugging him. It wasn't like he was concerned. And he's like, I feel for you, buddy. I'm just like, yeah, I bet you do. You're just basically telling him to shut up because you're tired of hearing him hack on the freaking air. No, actually, he didn't do too bad with it because you guys know once you lose your voice or something or you get pink eye and you're doing like this, like, dude, just shut it down, dude. So, but dude, it sounded great. It sounded like he was actually in the building, man. But like I said, for them to actually see what was going on and being up close and all that and taking a look at some of those guys, dude, how would it, I mean, they're living the dream for us, aren't they, boys? I mean, look at it. They go to Philly. They go to Philly and watch the national or the NFC Championship. Then they're heading down to Mobile, Alabama, right there, and then just I think they said about a 2-hour drive right there to freaking New Orleans. I'm like, I'll hold your camera. What else you need me to hold? I'm big track.
You'll hold anything.
Well, hold on now. No, seriously, Brandon. I mean, hey, dude, I wish I could. And you know what? I think we would appreciate it more if we were actually in person instead of just feeding off of what everybody's giving us. You know what I mean?
Yep. It kind of rolls downhill.
Yeah. But yeah, like I said, that Junior Tafuna from Utah. Why do they got to have all these fancy names? Like, whatever happened to, Josh Smith or something? Like, come on, guys, help us out over here in freaking podcast land. Name your kids something a little bit more easier to.
Yeah, you crazy Samoans.
Whoa. I don't want to mess with them Samoans.
No, we do not. I've seen Den of Thieves. I'm not messing with those Samoans.
Yeah. Junior Seau won my vote. But yeah. And Danny Strigo, I can handle that, from Minnesota, held the line like Fort Knox, man. I mean, and on the offensive side, Tez Johnson from Oregon was electric. Jalen Royals from Utah State, Jalen Knoll and Jaden Higgins. Jaden Higgins is a big boy, dude. I would love 6'4", 210 pounds or something like that.
Yeah.
Anybody from Iowa State, dude, like seriously, think about it. Offense, you get a guy from there, you're gonna get something. You know what I mean?
I like Pat Bryant. He was in Pat Bryant, Illinois wide receiver. I mean, he flashed all year, and he participated in this Senior Bowl as well. And I mean, I think he's a guy that you could have in the 5th round potentially, and he could end up being a steal. I know Brandon likes Patrick Bryant a lot too. He seemed to make the big plays whenever Illinois needed him, and not great quarterback play in Illinois, obviously. So I liked him. He didn't show out much in the Senior Bowl, but I mean, I think he's going to be a good player.
What did you guys think about Kyle Williams from Washington State? Did you get a chance to check him out?
I don't have much on him, no. What do you got in terms of Kyle Williams, Tracks?
Dude, he was just like all over the place. He was like lightning, like seriously, like you want to talk about a revelation. Like, I don't really look at Washington State too much, but I was just like, oh my, like, are you freaking kidding me? Like, he was bouncing around like a BB in a beer can. Like, I couldn't believe it. That's what I'm saying is, like, I get really overly excited, and probably none of these guys, well, not none of them, but that's putting it really rough. Some of these guys are not going to be as big, like, because when you hear my energy, it almost sounds like they're going to be like, Madden Pro Bowlers for life, But
it's a lot of names. You get overstimulated. There's a lot of names out there, man. So it's like you pick the guys that you like the most, and you hope they end up on your team, but they probably won't either. So it's like, just try to evaluate what you see.
Well, I will tell you this much. There was a dude from Miami, and you guys know, you always got to look at the U, right? Unbelievable. Elijah, what's that?
I think Brandon loves this guy, if you're talking about who I think you're talking about.
Elijah Arroyo?
Arroyo is not who I was thinking, but Arroyo is also a very good player. But yeah, Miami, Xavier Restrepo, who also didn't really show out at the Senior Bowl, but this is a name of a guy I've been liking for probably like the last 3 months, and now I'm starting to see him climb. They even have him projected as early as the 1st round. So I don't know if he's within the Bears' grasp anymore. But him, and then Landon Jackson, the edge from Arkansas, man.
Yeah, he's a beast.
That guy's a nightmare. He's a nightmare. He is built to play in the NFL.
I think we could get him in the late 1st round, early 2nd, if I'm not mistaken. That's a projection. So if we're still going to go edge and we go and do our due diligence in the free agency, however that works out, there's plenty to pick from. You guys have seen the variety of guys to go after, depending on the cost and what it's all about. I mean, it can really shape and change our board. But I want to get back to Jack Bech's teammate, Elijah Arroyo from Miami. This dude showed versatility that could pick him up. He could be a top tight end. And I think that's kind of what we need here. I'm not trying to replace Cole. I think I need somebody over on the other side, because I think we need two really good tight ends. It's shown time and time again in the NFL why it's very valuable. Do you guys agree?
Yeah, of course. I mean, the two tight ends, that second tight end you saw, I mean, the Ravens utilize it, the Chiefs utilize it. I mean, the Eagles have guys that step up when their guys go down. I mean, why am I blanking on his name? Calcaterra from the Eagles that just kind of stepped up when Dallas Goedert went down. Like, you need a second tight end to be a part of your offense when your first tight end's up, and also to step up when your first tight end goes down. So, I mean, yeah, it's hugely important, I think.
Wow.
And Arroyo is a guy who also Miami, because Miami was a team that I did watch a lot of tracks. I love Cam Ward. Arroyo is a guy who can move around too. He's not fast. He's big. He's 250 pounds and he's 6'4". This is a guy who, if you slim down a little bit, like get him closer to Brock Bowers' weight, you could probably utilize him in a lot of different ways.
Well, I will tell you this much. You guys do realize our favorite guy is 6'6", 266. That's what I'm trying to get down to. I've only got 10 more pounds, but he's got all muscle. You know what I mean? And I'm finally there. Trax was 415, pushing 420, and I'm down to like 276. 10 more pounds, and I'm Colt Komet without the freaking rock hard abs and the big paycheck. But I think it's like, muscle is takes less mass. It doesn't look all, big or whatever, and it weighs more. But it's less so I think if he puts on, I see what you're saying, slimming down, but I want to see him muscle up. What's his speed though? Do you guys know his speed at all? I know I'm asking a lot for.
No, I have no idea. I mean,
40,
he looks fast on the field for his size for sure, but I don't know his 40 time. I don't know that.
Okay, yeah, and
I see that Matt Miller has him in his mock today, has him as a 44th pick, high second round pick for Elijah Arroyo. So he's a legit player.
And this is prior to the combine. So this number will change, and it will change drastically. It always does. His only recorded 40 as of right now is a 4.69.
That's beautiful. I'll take 4.69 all day. And he can get faster too. Listen, boys, tight ends are not like trying to run all the time. They're not like receivers where they might dabble in track or something. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So if they start to work on the run, like to Brandon's point, it will change. He can't improve his 40 time.
If we're talking about tight ends, how do you feel about Mason Taylor out of LSU?
I like Mason Taylor out of LSU. I watched a lot of football from LSU because I fell in love with Will Campbell and that tackle that I'm
Jones.
getting. Yeah, Jones. I was going to get to him in a little bit. I like both of them, but here's the deal with Campbell. They keep putting him at tackle, but where he's a tackle, and they're saying, let's move him into guard because he can play both. Dude, I'm telling you right now, if you're going to do that, Bears, why the hell just go grab Booker and call it a done deal? Because Booker from Alabama has played guard forever, and his repetitions leading to retention are right there. That's his position. We need to get better at interior, And
he's a massive man.
Huge.
Yeah.
He's huge.
Guys, I got to step out for a second. All right, I'll be back.
All right, sure, man.
Yeah, he is the size of like a defensive tackle. I actually, Sean turned me on to him. I didn't really know much about him, and when I looked him up, I was like, are we sure this guy is playing on it? Like, he is just massive, man. And he's a 6'5", 330-pound guard. That's, like I said, this guy's like the size of like your nose tackle in the NFL. So as long as he's quick on his feet, which from everything I've watched, man, he is pretty versatile. He can move and he's got hands. That size is tremendous.
That's good that he's 330 because I seen him up to 342. So somebody's working on him and getting ready for something because he's moved down. 12 pounds is a lot because the big guys, they get really comfortable being big and they don't worry about it. You know what I mean? At that position, it is what it is. So he's doing something. When you look at that, 12 pounds is a lot. So that's good. And like to your point, Brandon, this guy can move. He's agile. He's got good, got good footwork, good hands, and he reads and reacts well. He's a solid guard. Make no mistake about it. You get him at guard, nothing to worry about. And as far as injuries go, he ain't no Tevin Jenkins. We're not drafting him, letting him sit for a year because potentially once he's healthy, um, now all of a sudden he could work for us, and then he ends up never doing it. He's half the time on the field, half the time off.
No, as far as I know, Tyler Booker's played full seasons in every year of his collegiate career.
Yeah.
And he's yeah, Trex. I mean, if you watch him play, because if you're just looking at this on paper, the guy's listed now. He's actually listed on different size 325. But when you watch him move, he doesn't move like a typical 330-pound athlete, man. I mean, this guy is clearly more muscle than he is mass, and I would not hate at all that the Bears take an offensive lineman from Alabama, man.
No, no, I wouldn't either for sure. And honestly, that's actually my vote. And I think we can actually trade back and still get him. I'm
Yeah.
comfortable moving back at least if it makes sense around 15 or 16. But I think somewhere in there is a sweet spot because you got like the Packers coming in hot and then maybe even the Vikings or something. But I know you got to be careful around that and kind of navigate. Plus, you got to make sure you could still get Booker in that. And then also make sure that you're going to get a good return. We're not just trading a trade. We got to get something back. And I don't want something in the late rounds. I want to get a good deal. So obviously they got to work their phones and not just pick, like we do on the mock drafts. We're just like, oh, let's try this team. We're not trading with the enemy. And yeah, so it's something desirable. I'd look into it because we need to get, like you guys been saying, everybody's been talking about that. You see a lot of people wanting to trade back, and it's such a deep, you know, such a deep draft, and we have so many needs. And if these guys pan out and do good, I mean, there's a lot of belief in the building that we've got the right coaches in place to make these guys successful. Even the guys that we have in the building are going to play better.
Yeah, and what's good for the Bears is, from what I've read, everything that's reported is they've spent a lot of focus on offensive line and running back, and there was a lot of quality players at both positions in this Senior Bowl, man. So they got to see these guys up close and personal, like Trevor Etienne, Travis's brother from Georgia. Is a
Yeah.
back that could be very sneaky in the draft, man. If he falls, you might get yourself a starting running back somewhere like the third round. I really like Etienne.
Yeah, me too. There was a guy. Let me pull him up really quick. Oh, I just got your text. 2 seconds. Jim Miller. Where was he at? Where is he at? Gosh.
Running
darn it.
back?
Yeah. Marcus Yarns. He said Marcus Yarns from Delaware. Now,
Delaware,
I'm sorry.
yeah.
I'm telling you right now, I don't watch Delaware football. I don't even have any involvement with Delaware, period, guys. But he saw this guy out there and he goes, dude, listen to me. This guy is the next Alvin Kamara. And I'm like, what? What? And he goes, dude, if you're going to wait and draft late in the draft, not out of disrespect from the running back position, but just out of need of knowing how deep that is at running back. He said, go look at Martinez. He goes, Martinez is that dog, dude. That's that guy you can get in the 5th round, be solid. He's a workhorse. You guys are going to like him. He goes, look at him. Look at Marcus Yarns. So, hey, I'm going to kick the tires and start looking at these two guys. He had eyes on him.
For sure.
Yeah.
I mean, go ahead,
Go ahead.
Brandon.
So, and Ben Johnson, it's been reported. I don't know if this is coming straight out of his camp, man. I do know this. Ben Johnson has stated, and I do like Yarns because he's a quality receiver. His last year, he caught 300 yards, and he had caught like 4 in his freshman year. But another guy, I think they're looking for, like they've kind of stated, they're looking for that David Montgomery to their Jahmyr Gibbs. So they're gonna have their eyes on the big backs too, big guys.
Yeah, I was gonna say Yarns is kind of redundant in terms of Swift and what he does, right? Versus Omarion Hampton, who is a big bruising back who run over people and give you that dual threat, that thunder lightning, that sonic knuckles that Ben Johnson loved to utilize in Detroit. So I mean, I feel like that's a guy they need to target, that type of player. That's and we're talking Senior Bowl guys. It's Hampton to me that is the guy. But if you're talking just in general, I like Judkins a lot. But you want somebody like that, I feel like.
You know who else he was impressed with, but he's already a household name. I was looking for, nuggets, like maybe, surprise some people and be like, look at us, He said Ollie, that dude, he interviewed
Kevin
well.
Ollie, yeah.
He was just so nice. He was just a breath of fresh air. And he actually got to interview him. Like you could just hear him on the air. And I was just like, how'd that go? He goes,
Ollie Gordon. Ollie
Gordon. Oklahoma State. Yeah.
Dude, go
Kevin
listen.
Ollie, the basketball player.
Go listen to that interview and you'll be like, this kid gets it. And it's nice. It's nice when you hear that because not many do. I wouldn't say not many, but some don't. They don't get it,
And Tracks is right up the alley in which the Bears are looking.
He is a huge dude.
230 pounds. This guy is not a slouch. He is a large man.
Large mammal. Yeah.
He's going to run some people over.
Let's take in every battle you got winners and losers. And I hate calling these kids that because I'm far from whatever they are right now. But let's talk about the Senior Bowl losers, man. I mean, it is what it is. I just lost to my son and pig in the inside of the house because he wanted to do these crazy dances and stuff. And by the time I nailed my 13-point dance, I barely could make a freaking layup,
Well, that's smart. He wore you out.
He did.
He doped you.
Yeah, he did. So like I said, in every battle, there are those who just don't come out on top. Carson Vincent from UNLV had a rough go. The competition seemed to be a step too far. Prince from Oregon, although expected to dazzle, didn't quite catch that light that you thought he would. And it's a tough pill to swallow. But remember one thing, guys, whatever one bad week doesn't define a career, but it's definitely looked at and considered, especially when, you might be in your regional area looking in that region and you've got scouts just focused on that because you can't deploy people all over the nation. And now you finally get to, put some it's laying down on the job, dude. You got so many guys that are just like spread out, and now you finally get to see people from all over. You know what I'm saying? So they'll have more chances to prove. But I mean, did you guys see any guys that really didn't do a good job out there that you're just like, wow?
I got one that stood out to me the most, and that would be Jalen Milroe. Jalen Milroe. I'm sorry, Brandon. Jalen Milroe went into this past college football season as a potential first round pick going into this, and then that's all kind of just fallen off, So I mean, Jalen Milroe did not help himself at the Senior Bowl at all, and he's really hurt his draft stock.
He took 3 really bad sacks, like accountable for 3 sacks. And I was just going to say, Trex, the entire quarterbacks class, all the quarterbacks in the Senior Bowl, because the defensive line was so dominant. Yeah. None of the quarterbacks really shined, to be honest. I don't like Jaxson Dart looked okay to me. Milroe was holding the ball way too damn long, as bad as the protection was, especially late in the game. But yeah, the quarterback's disappointed, and I don't think this is a very strong quarterback class to begin with.
Jaxson helped himself in the practices, like 2, 3. He did great. He moved up. He's above Milroe, probably still is. But to your point, in the actual game, So yeah, it's an ebb and flow right there for sure. Now sleepers. Let's talk about those under the radar guys. Like I said earlier, Elijah Arroyo. He might have sat out the game, but his practice week was nothing short of phenomenal, guys. Showing moves that he could elevate himself into the first 3 rounds. That would be pretty amazing considering, all of that. And then there's Josh Cornerly from Oregon. I mean, despite his viral moment where he had that was outmatched by Mike Green, he bounced back with a solid week, man. He bounced back with a solid week for sure, proving his mettle and resilience for sure, man.
Yeah, and another sleeper, Tracks, you had already aforementioned him, Martinez, because Miami was such a pass-heavy offense, and Cam Ward, I think he threw 4,000 plus yards and like 35 touchdowns. The ball was constantly in Cam Ward's hand. But when Martinez, when Ward was struggling, they asked Martinez to run the ball. He looked really good to me. I thought that's a guy who's probably not going to climb draft boards and will be available in the latter rounds, but looks pretty damn explosive when he's got the ball in his hands.
Yeah, that's a guy that Jim was big on. Like I said, I didn't get a whole lot of looks at him, but I saw a little bit, and it looked good. Um, you already touched on it for a little bit, and I know Dustin will when he gets back, because quarterbacks are always, the lifeblood of any team, especially ours, right? But we've already got that covered, so we don't even have to worry about these guys. But we're going to touch on it anyways. Quarterbacks. So here we go. Jaxson Dart from Ole Miss. He showed flashes of brilliance, but consistency, that's the $1 million question. He wasn't consistent, and that's what they look for. So we'll see what happens. But like I said, there was definitely some flashes there that some people will be like, I could work with this kid. We'll make something happen. You know what I mean? Back to your point, Jalen Milroe from Alabama. He had all the physical tools, but his Senior Bowl showed he's still raw. So that's what you were talking about, where he didn't help himself. Now, Riley Leonard from Notre Dame, Seth Hennigan from Memphis, and Dylan Gabriel from Oregon each had moments, but none screamed franchise QB. You know what I mean? So those are guys that you're going to see later on in the rounds, if at all, potential backups, and then maybe, work themselves into something maybe later on. But what about Taylor? And I'm sorry, man, if you're watching. Taylor Elgersma from Canada. He's just like an intriguing project. Like, you looked at him, you're just like, wow, that's interesting. I could definitely see him being, a quarterback. But I mean, these guys, they're all rough, every single one of them. There's no standout guy where, like you said earlier, you're just like in love with, and like, that's that dude. You know what I'm saying, Brandon?
Yeah, and then you look at like a guy who is in Heisman running, like, and I've heard a lot of people have kind of pitched this name to me, and like, what do you think? Dylan Gabriel has had a phenomenal collegiate career even before the transfer to Oregon, but the guy's like 5'10". So you already know NFL teams are going to be afraid of this. You know what I mean? The
Yeah.
NFL doesn't like this style of quarterback, and
No.
we've proven recently that they can succeed in guys like Kyler Murray and Russell Wilson. But it still doesn't like when it comes to the draft, your stock's going to fall heavily when
Yeah.
you're under 6 foot.
Well, here, let's peek at the draft order since you're already there, because Bears fans, our fate is tied with this list, okay? Tennessee at number 1, but we're at number 10. With this lineup, we've got options. Do we go for a game changer defender? That's what we were talking about earlier on your show, back and forth, back and forth. It's all, you got to have a plan, okay? Because you've got to work your plan too, because things are going to change, and you've got to have plan A, plan B, plan C, plan D, and try to keep it all, ready to go at a moment's notice, because that war room gets bananas, man. I mean, it is crazy. I heard some of it for the first time last year, and I was like, oh my God, no, there's no way. I just like, oh, it sounds like the freaking stock traders, unbelievable. But like I said, do we go for a game-changing defender, or do you look to secure our quarterback of the future? Protect the quarterback. Secure him as in protection.
Yeah.
The possibilities are endless, and the excitement is palpable. But I got questions for the viewers out there, Brandon. Before we part ways, I've got to ask some burning questions, and then we're going to get into the chat where Brandon and Dustin and I are all going to take turns, talking and reading the pleasantries and answering anything you guys got. I don't think we have time to do a mock draft. We'll save that for something that's a little bit less longer in the tooth, a little bit short. Because, I mean, I really simplified this, boys. I had like 8 pages, ladies and gentlemen, of stuff, and I consolidated it. And this is what I came up with. I threw a lot out, and you see, we're like 45 minutes into it, and I felt like we only talked about like a handful of players, but it was actually more than that. And to your point, Brandon, there's so many of them. You saw those cards that Jim Miller sent us that showed from each, division of the players that are there that were all there. It's got their heights, weights, all that kind of stuff. There's a lot of people there, it doesn't seem like it, but there's a lot of kids there that are showing up, Questions are for Bear Nation. Do you want a new NFL mock draft in the upcoming shows? I put right after, but that was before we're at the 45-minute mark. I'm just being honest, guys. So who was the biggest Senior Bowl winner? Let's hear who you think stood out the most, ladies and gentlemen. How many QBs should go in round number 1? I'm thinking, Brandon, 3, maybe 4. Even with it dropping, the need of a quarterback, I actually think the Raiders might go secure and get their quarterback, and that actually will drop a guy. So in a lot of the mock drafts, and take it for what it's worth, it's all just in sure fun, right? But for whatever reason, the Raiders always end up with either a running back or an edge. It's like 80% running back and then like 20% edge. So, but now they're talking about actually being interested in this Jaxson Dart. We all know Tom Brady's over there. And now you've got, what do you call it? The coach.
Pete Carroll.
Pete Carroll's there. So
and Chip Kelly. They hired as their offensive coordinator.
Dude, don't get me started with that. Like, really, dude, just throw the bag at Pete, like, or Chip Kelly. Like, are you freaking kidding me, man? What are we doing?
Did I miss something? We're talking about Chip Kelly, but Chip Kelly is a good offensive coordinator. I think he's shown himself to be that. He had a great season at Ohio State. I mean, so yeah, they got a lot of good pieces there coaching wise to help this team get more respectable pretty quickly, I think, with the Raiders.
So, okay, once a duck, always a duck. And like,
I got you.
And then when he goes to the NFL and failed, and now he's making his way, I'm just like, dude, I'm not bought into that. I mean, you want your guys to elevate and be, and if Tom Brady has any sort of like, this just does this feel like a Tom Brady thing to you guys? Like, everybody's like, and they do this with Magic Johnson, with the Dodgers and with Washington. Like, dude, he didn't play baseball and he didn't play football. So why does he have so much of an impact? And I know this is actually an apples to apples, but, you're pulling like Chip Kelly just doesn't seem like a Tom Brady guy. Does he to you guys?
I mean, it's hard to say. I think he's more of a Pete Carroll guy. They hired Pete Carroll, as the head coach, and then he's going to hire his staff. I think they hired Pete Carroll because this organization needed a level of respectability that they have not had for some years, based on
fair enough
who they've had in charge of their franchise. So, I mean, you got to trust Pete Carroll once you hire him. He is a retread, obviously. And you see these guys throughout the NFL, and I get what you're saying. Like, been there, done that. He has not been very successful. But when he's been in the offensive coordinator role, he's been solid. He's a good game planner. He gets the most out of, gadget players, guys that he can utilize. So, I mean, like, Brock Bowers, I think, is in for a treat to be, dealing with Chip Kelly potentially.
Now, listen, let's give Brandon his chance. Maybe he could convince me otherwise. I'm sorry. You know what? I will say this. If I would have known that Chip Kelly was coming with Pete Carroll, I would have never endorsed the dude at all. I'm sorry. I would have been like, too much tapioca pudding and plums for you,
marzipan candies. And
yeah, you've been sucking on these Werthers that have been in your pocket for too long. Like, what?
They're not in the wrappers.
Yeah, like, dude, that peppermint candy has been in your freaking pocket since Christmas. Come on,
pressed against your change.
Yeah.
I don't like it, to be honest. I'm a little torn, man. I read the Chip Kelly news and I thought, well, that's good for a defensive head coach to hire a guy who's been a head coach but also runs an offense. So he doesn't need so much help. Pete Carroll's not going to really dive too far into that. I think Chip Kelly's going to run. But do I think that's the right guy? Not necessarily. I didn't like when he was made the head coach of Philadelphia, but Dustin's got a point saying that he's failed. Majority of his failures have come through leadership, not through scheming football or through a playbook. But I do also think, why is it that his brother is never looked at as an NFL coach?
Because nobody likes him.
Yeah,
People cannot stand
well,
him.
that's what I'm implying. Are these
Yeah,
people just not likable people? Like, are they just
yeah.
hard to work with, the Kellys? Because you would
Listen,
expect.
it's a bit of a change for Pete Carroll too. Pete Carroll generally does not hire these retread offensive coordinators. So I mean, there's a reason for it. I mean, again, what Chip Kelly did at Ohio State this past season was really impressive. So like he's earned this spot. But like you were saying, Trax, how this conversation started, they got to get their quarterback, whether that's Shador Sanders, whether that's Cam Ward, whether that's Jaxson Dart, like they have to get their quarterback for any of this to matter. If you don't have a quarterback, you're done. Aiden O'Connell is not doing it for you. He's not getting the ball to those weapons.
Guys, I am totally listening to everything you just said, but I'm really to reach my hand and smack this guy in the phone from Sports Illustrated that gave us this horrendous. I follow this dude, Brian Perez, on X app.
I know him. Yeah. What up, Darius?
And he said ESPN Analysis offers bold trade idea for Bears to acquire Browns Myles Garrett. Now, you guys all know I'm in love with this guy, right?
Let's do it. I want to hear it.
Dude, listen to this. The Bears obviously need a pass rusher. Short list of teams mentioned in trade hypotheticals. This is what he thinks. Matt Miller says the Bears should offer picks 10, 39, and 41 to Cleveland for Myles. Is this guy a Packer fan or what? He wants to give our first 3 picks of this year for Myles Garrett.
I think, Matt. Sorry, go ahead, Trax.
So here's where he starts to defend his honor. He said, Myles says Miller has the Bears offering first 3 picks, blah, 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 first rounder and then 2 second rounders. The Bears have plenty of NFL draft capital to land Myles Garrett. At first glance, it seems like an insane price to pay 3 top 50 selections for one player, but this is Myles Garrett. This is a virtual lock for 14 or 15 sacks per year, and this is a deal that would transfer the Chicago Bears defense. Listen to this part. This is the part that I wanted to get to. Let's be honest, the Bears let's be honest, the best the Bears could expect from any first-round pick or any pick in any draft class is production that barely reaches 75% of Garrett's.
Very good point.
So the more you consider it, the more trading Myles Garrett seems to be like a no-brainer. I'm just not on board with the first 3 picks of the draft, dude. Like, that's what we talk about. That's what we salivate over, and we've got a lot of needs there, So
well, you have to trust the Bears to make the right picks with those picks. That's
right.
An unknown versus a known in Myles Garrett, right? And then you also have to consider that second round picks are so valuable in the NFL because of the 4th year on that controlled contract, man. Now that you have, so like you're supplying your team with what should be really good players at a really cheap price for an extended period of time. So giving that up, I don't like giving up both seconds. I'd do a first and a second. I would. I'd rather do a first, a third, and a 5th, or maybe a first, a third, and a second next year, or a third next year. But Myles Garrett is worth a lot. The Browns should request a lot if they're going to give him up. And if you want to play, you got to pay. Really, that's the way I look at it.
No, you know what? I'm not saying Chris Foster, we need a QB. That's the only freaking comment I read almost to the whole
Chris
page.
Foster, we love you. Thanks for joining.
Oh my gosh, dude. He'll die on that hill, won't he? Hopefully.
We've never blocked you, bro. You're welcome. Bring it.
Yeah, so how many QBs should go in that was the question that we derailed for like 20 minutes. Yeah, how many QBs should go in round 1? I'm saying at least 3. 2 for sure. I think 3. It could even be 4, to be honest with you. Share your quarterback predictions. I'm all ears. And then name a Senior Bowl loser. We've already done that. We're asking all of the fans that, though, all of the followers, the Bears fans and the followers right now. And which player do you think should be the Bears' top pick, regardless of position. And this is your time, Chris Foster, to say your favorite quarterback that replaced Caleb. Okay, we know. So,
All right, well, this draft, I got news for you, Chris Foster. There's not one in this draft.
they'll find one, baby. Remember to smash that like button, subscribe to Tracks on Bears for the best Bears and NFL draft content, and turn these notifications on to all by clicking that bell icon, guys. We're not just fans, we're family, and together we'll make the Bears roar louder than ever, baby.
Hey.
So let's go ahead and check out these comments, guys. And I'm sure you guys recognize, I've seen some of them in your guys' show also.
Oh,
Plank's in the building, bear down.
Plank the tank.
Phil, bear down. I love the pleasantries. I like when they go back and forth and say hi to each other. It's awesome. And then they
It's
say
a
hi.
nice little community we got going here and with these chat guys. They all really support each other too when they're in the chat, which is great.
It's great, ain't it? And here's the deal. I've been looking, man, and they've been paying attention. We've been trying to shame them off Facebook, and it's been working. There's 31 on XApp and 10 over there in YouTube Nation. And I will say this, Plank does a good job of making sure those XApp guys start to use the message in the chat, because if you watch, all of the comments are from YouTube Nation, and hardly any of them are for XApp. But there are watchers. If you go over there to where it shows live, so it says live, and then it says what kind of, if you got what do they call that, resolution 720 or whatever, then the time for how long it's elapsed, and then that little eyeball. If you put your mouse pad on that eyeball, the arrow, and you let it sit on there, it'll tell you where all your views are coming from. It's pretty cool.
Okay.
I found that out the other day. I was like, what the hell?
Nice.
So yeah, anyways, rant over. Plank says, breaking news, Bruce, bear down. Plank says, Kevin Marshall, bear down. I think he's doing some Morse code. Oh, no, wait. He's telling us hand, pink, waving, face, blue.
These are emojis, aren't they?
I hope they are. I hope he didn't take the time to do. If he did, shout out to you, man. You're the hardest.
Maybe they're just not transferring from wherever he's sending them from, and it just. Yeah. I hope. Yeah.
Maybe this is part of that new. What do you call it? Tariffs. Maybe there's a tariff on there, and he got him. Tiana, what's up, Tiana? She's checking out on her hubby, Brandon. That's freaking awesome, dude. Plank says, Tiana, bear down. James says,
my wife. No, never mind. It's not.
What's that?
I said, well, my wife is in the chat. No, she's not. Never
mind. Oh, she could probably hear you, though.
No, yeah. I can hear her, too.
Plank says, well, we can't hear her, so you got some pretty good walls, bro. Plank says, James Childers, bear down. James Childers says, I like Bech. I wonder if we can get him in the upcoming draft. What do you guys think? Is that a possibility?
I like the story of Bech, but again, I don't know that it makes sense. I mean, he's got size and he's got some speed, so it's like he's a solid player. But I like Pat Bryant better, to be quite honest. Or Restrepo for that slot role, that real slot role.
Okay. What about you, Brandon?
I agree with this. And Restrepo is a guy that I keep my eyes on, but like I said, he's climbing boards right now. I don't know if the Bears are going to even be in contention of drafting him, because you're not going to take him with the 10th pick. But Bryant, man, from Illinois, is a guy who he's all great. Listen to his story. It's a long story, but listen to his background. But he's just all grit. He's no quit, man. The guy just keeps picking himself up, dusting himself off. And I thought he was like 50% of Luke Studmeyer, whatever, the Illinois quarterback. I thought he bailed him out a lot. Bryant caught a lot of balls that most receivers.
Reitmeyer?
Luke Stuckmeyer? I don't know what his name is. He's sticking around. I know he's coming back to Illinois.
Do you guys see anybody from like the Saints or the Lions as a tight end, or what are we doing? Are we going to grab a guy in the free agency, or you guys think we'll draft a tight end? Like, what's your thoughts? Because if you look at all these guys that we went out and got for coach, the staff, they've all been a tight end coach at some point. Like every single one of them. It's like crazy. I bet if we look at the defense side of the ball, like some of those freaking dudes start out as tight end coaches. It's insane.
Don't bring any of the tight ends from the Broncos with Declan Doyle because those guys all suck. I don't know, man. You just signed Gerald Everett. Are they going to cut him? Are they not? They might keep him and just say run it back, but they're definitely not drafting a tight end. That's for sure. So they are going to have to get one in free agency if they do decide to move on from Gerald Everett, which they probably should. He was not very good for them, but I don't know, man. I don't know. The Saints don't really have any standout tight ends either. Anywhere from these previous coaches is not something I would want to poach.
What do you think, Brandon? I just want to pick up a dude that looks like he can catch. It's got a cool mullet or something, and just try him out.
Yeah, I think they're going to play the bargain role here, man. I would imagine that you're probably going to see the Bears, maybe it doesn't make the roster, but you see the Bears bring in a tight end from a former team of one of these coaches. So like Dustin just forementioned, Declan Doyle might suggest, let's look at Taukman or whatever these guys. I don't even know what those guys' names were over there, man. They're just not good. But I could see one of these coaches suggesting to Ben Johnson that there's a tight end that didn't play the primary role in their previous team.
Yeah. Jay Capone says, Don, your WTW guys, triple bicep. I don't know what's happening. Plank says, yeah, Capone, bear down. Jay Capone, Plank, bear down, or lay down. Or maybe that's when you went sideways, Brandon. I don't know.
Is that what happened? I wasn't sure what you guys were talking about. My screen.
Yeah, you were sideways.
Right.
When you were doing your phone, is that your phone over there?
Yeah.
Yeah, it went sideways. It looked like you were laying down.
Yeah, you went Paul Giamatti on us.
On my podcast from now on.
Plank says, Trapakeepa, bear down. I love that name, dude. That's actually probably like one of my favorite names of all these guys. They got some creative names. And then there's just good old Cliff Vittoria,
Good old Turd Ferguson.
What is that?
I love Cliff. I love Cliff to like the fullest until he tried to sell me on his fucking split pea soup. Did you guys hear about that split pea soup?
I was on the show with you. Yeah,
he was
hammering that whole
comment that he put there. Do you guys see the comment that he put there? Is that real?
I think he's talking about your guy.
Oh, the brother. Yeah, Jack Bech. Okay. I was like, Cliff, God damn it, your brother.
Yeah. I think that's what he's.
Okay. Yeah. And that happened.
We love you, Cliff.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, we do. We love you, even in the midst of the split pea in your freaking freezer. Plank says, Cliff Vittoria, bear down. Cliff says, hey, Plank, I guarantee you he's going to hammer it home too if he's still in the building. He's gonna split us with the split pea. Jay Capone says, draft Nolan and Walker DTS. Yeah, dude, defensive tackles for sure, man. If you get those guys, they got to be early, dude. You're not going to let them walk into the second round.
You're using both of your second round picks if you're lucky to get both of those guys.
Yeah,
it's really hard to remember the context of these comments after so long. They were it's like I felt bad for Cliff for a second there.
Yeah. Jeremy Munoz says, bear down, everyone. Plank.
Munoz.
Jeremy Munoz, bear down. Trapakeepa says Tyler Scott is not relevant or reliable. Okay. You tell us how you really feel, buddy. Trapakeepa says, I like Restrepo from Miami, highly underrated. Jeremy says, hold my beer. I wish I could, bro. I really do. Jeremy Munoz says, getting a good defensive tackle is really important to Dennis Allen's D.
It was really important to Matt Eberflus's defense too. And it never really so who knows?
God. Oh my God.
He broke the record, guys, just recently. Restrepo just broke the record for the most receiving yards by a receiver in Miami.
Really?
He's had over 1,000 yards his past 2 seasons, and this last season he had 11 touchdowns, which I think was like the
I love you. I gotta go. I
All
appreciate
right.
it. Y'all having me
Okay.
on, but the wife and the daughter need me. I gotta get out of here.
Yeah, you're good, man. Have a good night. Thank you.
Appreciate y'all.
Later,
Yep.
Justin.
See it. Tight end is big in Ben Johnson's offense philosophy. That is a good point. That is a great point, Brandon. They have enough tight ends. They could probably let go of one or two and they'll still be all right. Like they love the tight ends and Ben Johnson's philosophy. That's a good point. There might be a reason why they have a plethora of tight end coaches, also, or coaches that have been tight end coaches. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I don't think you're right, Trex. I mean, that's a position they're certainly going to address. They're not done there yet.
I don't know what. I'm like, even with the crazy that circled the camp with and that's for a different reason. This is just, we know that there's structure there. We know that they're good talent, talent graders, for lack of a better term, evaluators, talent evaluators. With We just felt like we were running through a buzzsaw all 3 years. I just didn't know what, I'm just like, okay, let's see what's behind door number two. And you get yourself hyped up because they show us all the good stuff, and it never really, I mean, some of them, not all of them, but like I just feel different with Dennis Allen, and I feel different with Ben. You know what I mean? And I hopeful those feelings matter at some point, and it actually pans out, because I'm tired of every year or every time we get a coach, Brandon. I always do this. I get my hopes up so high and I try to make sense out of it. Heck, I even did that with freaking John Fox. I'm like, oh yeah, this is it. His dad was a Navy SEAL. He's gonna whoop everybody into shape. He was the freaking biggest freaking bum I've ever seen in my life.
A
You know?
pushover too.
Yeah. Like, just because your dad's a Navy SEAL don't mean you're a Navy SEAL, bud. How about that?
No, accountability was not something John Fox was high on.
No, he's just like, it's okay. Leave the bet undone. Plank said 4-star Chicago sports, bear down.
Bear
Crooked,
down, player.
yeah, bear down. Crooked Commish says everyone in the building, bear down. 4 stars, Chicago, bear down. Plank. Um, Maybe Luca wants to play guard. He's about 270. I think he's almost 280 now. Um, yeah, he's really up there for sure. I think LeBron's going to whip him into shape, though. Plus, you can't be on those beaches. Listen, Brandon, you can't be on those beaches in South Side LA. You
And
can't.
be out of
Not
shape.
yeah. They'll whoop you. You go walk around. This ain't the Midwest, bud. It's not going to happen at all. Uh, Laz says no tiny school picks again, please. Oh my God. He's not wrong, Brandon. He's not wrong. I mean, there's other teams that can get away with it. I don't know. I kind of almost want to give maybe somebody a chance because of the coaches we have in the building and whatever, but I'm not. I'm can't say the guy's wrong.
No, and the beauty of the smaller schools is the players that you typically keep an eye on from those schools. Those guys go beyond the draft. You can free agent sign those guys all day. They're undrafted. You know what I mean? Like the Bears,
Yeah.
and he's right, because remember the Bears drafted Adam Shaheen, the
Yeah.
tight end.
Tight end.
Oh God, I don't even remember what school the guy went to, but I'd never heard of it. And they were so hyped on this guy, and he turned into nothing.
Like
Nothing.
Division II or something, right?
Yeah, it was bad. It was a bad school. And then they got Tariq Cohen, who did have a few years that he actually produced. So you're not going to go looking at those guys in the draft, man. They're going to slide past it. You're going to have all the availability to sign those guys if you think you have some intel that somebody else doesn't have.
That's a good point. And I think all the good evaluators, talent evaluators that have deep teams can afford to take a chance. I don't think we can right now. Maybe
No,
we could get cute in some years to come, but this ain't the time right now at all.
no, they
Like you
need to
said,
draft their
get them
needs.
late in the draft or get them undrafted free agent, something like that. But don't get them in the early draft at all. No. Paul Gibbons says, bear down, moving the chains, great show. Yeah, they know what I'm talking about. Paul Gibbons, Darius Lockhart, bear down, fellas. Jeremy Munoz says, hell no. First this year and next, Jeremy Munoz. Must be talking about the trade. Montana Shy says Brown's GM said he wouldn't take 3 firsts for Garrett. I guarantee he'll change. This is where you say you won't part with something so you could get more. And then in the end, if you find out you can't get more than 3, you'll take 3.
Yeah, he's playing the game. He should say
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
He shouldn't come out and be like, I just want a second rounder. You know what I mean? Like, he's got to say, listen, I was told by a personal injury lawyer that, like, if you want a mill, you sue for 50. You know what I mean? Like, you leave somebody in a position where they have to settle. That's what you do. Play the
Yeah.
game.
I like it. Plank says Montana Shy bear down. Plank 1920 trying. Bear down Plank. Montana Shy says draft a tight end from Notre Dame or Iowa. He's not wrong there. Tight end University is Iowa, right?
Yeah, and all the guys that you're seeing dominate the NFL came from one of those 2 programs for sure. That in Georgia.
Guys, like I said, we're not just fans, we're family here, and together we'll make the Bears roar louder than ever. Until next time, keep the fire burning, Bears Nation, and let's go Bears. Thank you guys so much for showing out. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. We appreciate your view. Turn all your notifications on to all. Make sure you enter in to get a jersey. Share this video with everybody. And Brandon, once again, tell them where they could find you Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday.
Yes, guys, the 4-Star Chicago Sports. Mondays, 6 o'clock. Wednesdays, 6 o'clock. I think they just moved it back to 7. And we and Dustin have a late night show, guys, for those of you who are up late or maybe work your second shift, getting out of work around 10 o'clock. We start a show at 11:30. And then you can find me here Monday nights, guys, 8 o'clock CSP.
You guys should call that the nightcap or something crazy like that.
I know. Jay, it's funny. It's funny though. Sometimes what's weird, man, is you start at 11:30, and you know how you were just mentioning the viewership. You're watching the views go up and down. We get hit with a bunch of views at like 12:30. So there's got to be this like getting out of work or something from a weird shift. So, but yeah, it's tough, man. It's tiring. But we'll
I
do it for you
bet.
guys.
Shout out to you guys. You probably see the views go up around 9 o'clock the next day too, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah, you should.
progressively, yeah.
Yeah,
But,
and people turn
and
it
the
on
good,
during work.
last year, not so much this year, but last year, I was listening to Pat. No, it wasn't Pat. Hayes. Hayes was talking about how last year they would wake us up at like 11 o'clock midnight with like some breaking news. And those guys, they don't care. Like they're freaking ride or die. Like seriously, if there's news, they're all hopping on their computers and throwing a show up and they're ready to go. I'm just like, damn, dude. They said all last year, dude, the Bears were killing them. I mean, it was like always late. They always did something late. And they were like, come on, guys, don't do it. So they must have listened to them because this year it ain't really been a whole lot of late, breaking news, has there?
No, man, it's all coming out kind of early, which sucks for me because that's when I'm working. You know what I mean? And the news is going to be the same no matter where you read it, right? We can report who the Bears hired and whether or not what their history is. You can show me the numbers, but you got to come to CSP or 4-Star Chicago Sports, guys, if you want to hear a different take. If you don't want to hear the same thing that you're being fed on your ESPN radio and all that stuff, we try to analyze things from every perspective to make it make sense, right? Because you immediately had half the fan base say we want Garrett. Immediately, half of them said we don't want Garrett. It's going to cost too much. How about we just take the phone call? That's my perspective. Let's just make a phone call. Let's see where it goes.
Yeah, let's just hear what you guys have to say, and that I like to leave it at the end because every format's different to your point, but I like to lead the witness. I like to get all the stuff out there because some people are legit just coming on here just to get some info, get some knowledge, and then ask the questions. Because if you ask a question right out the gate, they're going to be like, oh, what's he saying? What's he saying? I'll go with that. I'll go with that. Or if you give them some information, at least, then they might be able to answer a question. You know what I mean? So just try to gather intel and then have a little conversation and let them get into it, because that might be the only source or time that they can actually read something in the day. There's a lot of people like you that really can't get to their phone while they're at work, and some of them are out of coverage area or just whatever it may be. power down their phone and all this kind of stuff, and they might be listening to us on the way home or whatever. So I just think it works good. And that's what I've been going with. One guy was just like, "Why have a live show and not get to the comments until way later? Like, what's the point?" And I'm like, dude, if you ever watch ESPN Chicago, them boys don't even freaking pull you up or highlight your freaking thing or even call you out or nothing, or even reply in the comment. That's anything. And all that stuff's live in the morning, and they've got tons of views. I'm talking thousands, Brandon. It's bananas, bro.
Yeah, millions. And yeah, and like I said, man, it's the chat too, and we appreciate everything you guys do. You carry the show along for us too. A lot of times you're giving us the content. We're walking into a show like we know we want to touch on this and maybe that, and then you guys throw something at us that it creates a 15-minute conversation, and that's
Yeah.
important to us. But there are times too when you kind of want to lay down what it is you feel and then allow the chat to respond to it.
And then also, it's a community. They could just talk amongst each other. You see where they're saying hi back and
Yeah,
forth, and they're
100
just
bear
like,
downs.
yeah, they're just talking to each other, bearing down and whatever else. They like, "Hey, Jimmy, what'd you have? I had a sandwich and soup. What about you?
Split
Hey, you
pea.
got it? Huh?
Split pea.
Split pea. Yeah, you bastard." So, but yeah, hey, anyways, you guys have a good show. Brandon, thanks for showing up, man. I appreciate you. I hope you have a great week, brother. Nice haircut, man.
You too, man. Appreciate you, Tracks.
All right, take it easy. Where's my freaking, there we go. All right, got it.